Kulavinaka, my name is Litia and I'm from the beautiful island of Laos and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Casey, I'm from Tabua. We love Today FM in Tabua. Today FM rocks.
My name is Selina, I'm from Tawengavengamba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Pula, my name is Carlo. I love listening to the music in Today FM, in Malak Island. Today FM rock.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
In the news, church group gives evidence against rape accused. NFP and FLP defend themselves against allegations. An elections office embarks on 2018.
From the studios of FBC Suba, Amrita Sagar.
The trial of one of Fiji's most horrific rape cases continues, with a church youth group today giving evidence against the accused. Joshua Dholanaundolu is alleged to have raped 3 women, but also accused of raping and murdering the known victim in March last year. Sharon Shivan reports on the case that has been gripping the attention of the nation.
The prosecution today presented witnesses to try and establish that accused Joshua Dholanaundolu was at the beach in Pacific Harbour on the night that a 14-year-old girl was raped and murdered. 21-year-old Josephine Maria vividly remembered the church service in March last year. Maria told the court the church service ended at around 10 p.m. and she was the last one to leave the church. On her way to her home, Maria saw accused Joshua Dholanaundolu, who is her uncle, jump over the fence towards the beach side. Maria then went back to her place and saw her aunt looking for her 14-year-old daughter. Another state witness who is also part of the church youth group was Maria Kula. She says she allegedly saw the accused carrying something towards the beach side. Kula testified that it looked like Dholanaundolu was carrying timber. 39-year-old Joshua Dholanaundolu faces 1 count of murder, 6 counts of rape, 4 counts of abduction and 1 count of indecently annoying a female. The charges include the case where Dholanaundolu is alleged to have abducted, raped and murdered 14-year-old girl in Deumba last year. Sharon Shivan, FBC News.
The National Federation Party and Fiji Labour Party today responded to comments made by the acting Prime Minister Ayaan Syed Qayyum that they're politicising the struggles of cane farmers. NFP party leader Biman Prasad says the current government grant offered is a band-aid solution to a bigger problem. FLP party leader Mahendra Chaudhry agrees and says the acting PM's comments were uncalled for. Maggie Boyle with the story.
Day-to-day issues are...
The acting Prime Minister didn't mince his words. He called out the FLP and NFP, saying they only represent their agenda.
Politicians like Biman Prasad, politicians like Mahendra Chaudhry and other politicians are simply going around again using these farmers, spreading misinformation about them.
Professor Biman Prasad doesn't agree, nor does former PM Mahendra Chaudhry.
That sort of attack from the Minister for Economy and the acting Prime Minister shows the politics of panic on his part.
And Mr. Qayyum's claim that the Fiji Labour Party is politicising the issue is utter nonsense.
Syed Qayyum says the sector has many challenges and this political football does more harm than help.
This government, together with FSC, is providing and trying to seek some fundamental changes to an industry that has been for decades neglected.
NFP and FLP, on the other hand, say long-term sugar initiatives would be a better solution.
It also vindicates the farmers' own request and the NFP's position that the only long-term solution for helping the farmers is a minimum granted price of $100.
The farmers have been demanding a fair cane price of $100 a ton to make farming profitable for them.
As the government and opposition argue over the politicisation of the plight of cane farmers, the cane farmers await the government grant of close to $10 million. That's to assist them, which is due this week. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Prime Minister Vurangimbai Nimarama spoke at the Belt Road Forum in China last night, calling for a grand coalition under the theme of connectivity and interconnected development. Stressing commitment to national development, Nimarama said interconnected growth has been ingrained into every level of national development. He said Fiji has demonstrated a commitment to integration in the global economy as well as maintaining and expanding relationships, which has translated into development and unprecedented opportunities for ordinary Fijians. Looking ahead, the PM told the forum about ambitious benchmarks such as supplying every Fijian household with safe drinking water by 2020 and generating 100% of our electricity from renewable sources by 2030. Nimarama also raised the issue of climate change and how it's devastating communities in Fiji. Following the selection of the start numbers for the ballot papers yesterday, the Elections Office now gets down to the business of the actual ballots. This as the country gears up for the 2018 general elections. Akosita Tale has more.
Election Supervisor Mohammed Sanim says the FEO team has its own matters to sort out now following the draw yesterday.
The operations team will need to know the size of the fonts in order to prepare samples and to prepare the templates for the next ballot paper for printing purposes.
The public is advised to be familiar with the numbers in this range as more awareness material is expected to be released in the coming months.
Part of our awareness is to actually show a sample of the ballot paper to the voter. We will also be able to use these for preparation purposes as there are various processes that are affected by the number that starts the sequence.
The first number for the ballot paper in the next election is 508, and Sanim says voter familiarity with the numbers is important. Akosita Tale, FBC News.
The Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation employed some unqualified personnel in its 15 new project positions. This was revealed in the 2014 and 2015 audited accounts of the ministry this morning. Many employees selected by the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation for some of its new projects did not meet the requirements for the job. Director Social Welfare Rupeni Fatiaki said the employees in question were hired in order to meet the demands of service in the ministry. Well, still to come, first ever tissue valve operation for Fiji. And marijuana issue continues to raise concerns. Details after the break.
Nimbula binaka na yavangunga andi moala ranalika o tikongo na tao na singatoka ando talitaka na bakaronga ng Bula FM number 2 na serre.
Ya dora subuli kurna bili. Iborani batukara hambara binanga. Do talitaki na bakaronga ng Bula FM number 2 na serre. Bula.
Bula FM number 2 na serre.
A tissue valve operation will be conducted at the CWM hospital for the first time in Fiji next week. A medical team from Sahadri Specialty Pacific Hospital will conduct the procedure, which requires doctors to stop the heart of the patient during the surgery. Kelly Vadala reports.
So I go in here.
Like all operations, a tissue valve operation isn't risk-free. The patient will have to be supported by an artificial heart-lung machine while the heart is stopped for a few hours.
The tissue valve is actually a natural thing is attempted to make in the advanced medical field. We put it on the artificial heart and then the surgery is performed. The other way is it is performed on beating heart. So depending upon the condition of the patient.
The fact that the Indian specialists feel confident enough to conduct this procedure in Fiji is validation of improvements in access to high-end medical equipment. The patient is an Australian woman who would have to pay 94,000 Fijian dollars for the operation at home. Here she pays only a fraction of the cost.
Quite a nice and fascinating operation to do because we need to stop the heart when we operate on this particular case. And again, after the operation, we need to sort of restart the heart.
As part of the agreement with the Fijian government, the Sahadri specialty team will also have to work with local doctors to develop their skills.
So in near future, things will develop. People will also have the interest.
The team is planning to perform more than 30 heart surgeries beginning next week. 16 have already been lined up at the CWM hospital. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
E-ticketing will be one of the main topics discussed at the Fiji Bus Operators Association annual convention this Saturday. Fiji Bus Operators Association Vice President Richard Lal says e-ticketing will improve the bus industry, and the convention will also allow the stakeholders to present issues that may affect the industry and solutions to these matters.
It's the introduction of the e-ticketing system, which will make wonderful changes to the industry in how we manage and how our management reports, how our income is collected and controlled.
The Fiji Police Force have been making arrests for marijuana possession every week. Chief of Operations ACP Rusiata Tundravu says most of these are in the west and north. Anna Ravulo has more.
Arrests for marijuana possession and cultivation have been non-stop.
I can confirm that we continue, our police officers around the division continue to arrest people who are found in possession of the marijuana, and also the one from Lambasa, the suspect led the police officers to the farm, where almost approximately about 200 plants that have been uprooted.
The Fiji Police Force has led many raids into the hinterlands of Fiji, uprooting farms and arresting drug cultivators. Over the years, thousands of kilos of plants have been destroyed, but with little effect on the supply chain. With some suspects in their early 20s, the chief executive of the National Substance Abuse Advisory Council says that parents need to take more responsibility.
We need to stress the importance of family time, especially for us parents who work. We need to find time, quality time, to spend with our kids, which can stop them or can discourage them from indulging in such things as drugs.
5 people who were found in possession of dried leaves believed to be marijuana were arrested over the weekend, and Tundravu says they will continue to make arrests regardless of the age of suspects. Anna Ravulo, FBC News.
The cargo ship Southern Phoenix remains stuck on the ocean bed in the Suva harbour 10 days after sinking. FBC News understands that initial assessments by pollution experts from New Zealand's Maritime Authority have been carried out. Maritime Safety Authority CEO John Tunindao says the task force will meet tomorrow for a briefing with the acting Prime Minister Ayasayed Qayyum to discuss the plan to salvage the vessel. The investigation into what led the ship to sink is ongoing. Well, ahead in sports, Jamie will have the latest on the Super Rugby match, but right now it's Rachel with business.
Thanks, Amrita. Good evening, and coming up in business tonight. M-Pesa continues positive growth. And in growing Fiji, FHL looks at tower possibilities. Stay with us.
I'm under a sort of of Nayabu whenever I want to tune in to listen to great music, I always tune in to my favorite radio station, Gold FM, only the classic.
My name is Lita. We love listening to Gold FM here at the Fiji Hideaway Resort and Spa. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
We here at Tano Waterfront Lautoka love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
In business tonight, it's been an exceptional year for the adoption of M-Pesa in the country for Vodafone Fiji. Over the financial year, more than 200 million has been processed in transactions through the M-Pesa platform. Chief Executive Pradeep Lal says this is evident of a greater customer adoption of the mobile wallet platform and Vodafone's scope for the future inclusion of M-Commerce.
Not only that, as a pilot project, now we get over $700,000 remittance inward going to all the customers all over Fiji, or the customers who receive money from UK and Europe alone. We are just in the final stages of now rolling that same product into the Australian and New Zealand market, and I'm sure in no time the remittance inward, as far as M-Pesa is concerned, would reach over $2 million.
Now we turn to Savanatha from HFC Bank, who has the latest from the stock markets.
Binaka Rachel. Looking at this week's major economic announcements, we have the European month-on-month GDP tonight, which is expected to stay at 1.7%. Tomorrow morning, we have figures on the monthly U.S. building permits, which are expected to increase from 1.26 million to 1.27. A little closer to home tomorrow, Australia releases their Westpac Consumer Confidence Index, currently standing at negative 0.7% without consensus. And New Zealand will release its Producer Price Index input and output for the first quarter, expected to stay at 1% and 1.5% respectively. All of this will have an effect on our basket of currencies, of which our Fijian dollar is pegged against, and we'll see the effect of this in the coming days. That's a wrap from me, Vinaka Rachel.
Thanks, Avanatha. On to today's exchange rates. The Fijian dollar continues to strengthen against the Chinese yuan and the American dollar, closing at 3.21 and 46 cents respectively. Closer to home, the Australian and New Zealand dollars are still weakening since yesterday, closing at 62 cents and 67 cents, while the Fijian dollar strengthened against the PNG Kina to close at 1.29. In the commodities market, oil prices rose to close at $48.20 a barrel. Gold dropped by $2.14 an ounce to close at $1,231, and silver followed suit, closing at $16.64 an ounce. In Growing Fiji tonight, Fijian Holdings Limited is exploring a possible partnership for its multi-million-dollar building project in Suva. Chief Executive Nozat Farid says negotiations with the Seventh-day Adventist Church are in the final stages. Farid says the design changes to the proposed FHL tower in Gordon Street, Suva, have resulted in a need to change the structure. The company will need to expand the base of the proposed building. That means expanding to the adjacent property owned by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which will discuss the matter tomorrow. Farid says FHL is committed to begin construction before the end of the year.
So FHL Tower is it's all ready. We didn't go to the next stage, mainly because of our neighbor, that is a religious organization, which want to partner with us. So that discussion has almost come to a conclusion now, almost at the end. It is not going in the way that we thought, but it has taken a new look.
And that's business this evening. Jamie joins you now with the latest in sports.
Thank you, Rachel, and good evening. Coming up in sports, no change yet for 2019 Pacific Games host nation. And selectors keep close tabs on national reps. This and more after the break.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकु रेकी रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ। मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1। इट्स सो हॉट।
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट।
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेफरेकी से मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट। आई लव मिर्ची एफएम।
हमें स्पिन टोटो ताबुआ के मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे।
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट।
Chiefs rugby officials are in the country tying up all loose ends ahead of its Super Rugby clash against the Crusaders on Friday. Chiefs marketing manager Vanessa Parker says her and her team are here to ensure everything goes as planned, and so far things are on track.
Start setting up signage, as I said, grass graphics and painting starts, confirming things like the catering and also all the extra pieces like the big screen, music and all the entertainment for the fans that are coming on Friday.
Meanwhile, the two teams arrived into the country this afternoon. Both sides headed straight to their hotel team bases where traditional ceremonies were held to welcome the two franchises to Fiji. Both the Chiefs and Crusaders will hold training sessions tomorrow in the build-up to the Friday evening game that kicks off at 7:30 at the ANZ Stadium. The Pacific Games Council is yet to receive any confirmation of the Tongan government withdrawing from hosting the 2019 Games. Council President Vidya Lakan says if Tonga does pull out, it is possible Fiji will be considered as a replacement host country. Vastil Prasad reports.
Oh yes, oh good girl. Easy.
Fiji is top on the list of countries capable of hosting the 2019 Pacific Games, with Tonga likely to pull out.
Yeah, there is no doubt, not only Fiji, but there are other members of the Games Council
who would be able to host it. But we will come to that when we need to.
Pacific Games Council President Vidya Lakan says they are yet to receive any word from the Tongan government, and as far as they are concerned, Tonga is still the host.
Tonga has to officially let us know what their position is, and then obviously if the rumor is true, and if we do hear, then there will be dialogue with the government and Tongan government and the Pacific Games Association of Tonga.
Lakan has taken the news of Tonga's withdrawal as a rumor and says he would be surprised if there is any truth to this.
I'm a bit surprised with what is now being attributed to the Tongan Prime Minister, because in Parliament, in only about 2 months ago, he very firmly told the Tongan Parliament and the Tongan people that his government supports the 2019 Games. People of Tonga won the Games in Tonga.
The Games Council is now waiting to hear from Tongan officials. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
The Digicel Punja's International Secondary Schools Under-19 Netball Challenge, currently underway, is being used to test players who wish to represent Fiji at the Netball World Youth Cup in Botswana in July. Meli Tavanga was at day one of competition today and filed this report.
These players are being closely watched by the Fiji Netball Association and the Fiji Secondary Schools Netball Association. Those who stand out have new opportunities ahead.
We have about 4 members of the under-21 team that are in our under-19 team. So we are hoping that they will use this experience, and whatever learnings that they can take away from this tournament will help them eventually when they get to Botswana.
Fiji has 3 teams competing, and officials are impressed by what they've seen on the court today.
And Fiji is hosting for the first time. This year, since Fiji is hosting, we've got 3 teams from Fiji. We have the Fiji Under-19, we have the Fiji Secondary Schools Under-19, and we have our Auckland Fijian Community Netball Under-19.
The competition is expected to get tougher in the coming days.
We've seen the Aotearoa Maori. They beat the Fiji Under-19, and again, we're watching the Australian Badgers against the Fijianafans from Auckland. And you know, the level of competition for both games have really set the standard for the kind of competition that we will expect over the next 5 days.
The International Under-19 Netball Challenge ends on Saturday. Meli Tavanga, FBC Sports.
The Vodafone Fiji Mbati has slipped a spot on World Rugby League rankings released today. After losing to Tonga 26-24 earlier this month, Fiji has moved to 8th spot, while Tonga has improved 3 places to sit at 11th. Australia remains the top team, followed by New Zealand, England and Scotland. That's it from Sports Tonight. Get your latest weather update with Angie later on, and in our new media segment, a look at the effects of smartphone addiction on the brain and its similarities to drug and alcohol addiction. Find out more after the break.
Bula, kera mai singatoka, kera ndo tali taka na varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Usi kami na sa mga sekolah ndo tali taka na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Kaya kuya silil tali, nagurara may nawamanyi, nandunga. Gitu tali taki yang gitu Venezuela, nagudurong varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti na bonga ni BNN.
It is hard to imagine life before smartphones, but our frequent use is causing concern for doctors and researchers. Well, we now join Angie with the latest from the weather world.
Hello there and welcome to the weather world. Sunny periods stretched over most parts of the nation today, with some light drizzle and puffy clouds lingering by. Well, things are not that toasty, and that's the best part about this kind of conditions. Looking at today, in the west, after a few showers, sunshine broke through the clouds and did a favor on our farmers.
Eastwards, from Pekhaba to Suva, few showers were experienced but later cleared off to sunny skies. And up in Vanwalevu, it was partly sunny with rain likely for tonight. At sea, easterly winds 15 to 20 knots with moderate to rough seas. And for the tides, the high tide will be at 10:52 tonight with the low tide at 4:44 tomorrow morning. Sunrise will be at 6:25. For tomorrow, it will start to shift a little further north as there is forecast of persistent rain, but elsewhere conditions will be fine. Tomorrow's temps quite consistent. Nandi and Lotoka will have highs of 31 and lows of 23 yet again. Looking further on to Thursday, it will be just like tomorrow, but with intervals of heavy showers. And that, Amrita, is FBC weather for tonight.
Thanks, Angie. I'll keep the umbrella handy for those heavy showers. Now, on Fijian Pulse today, we asked, are politicians taking advantage of sugarcane farmers?
Probably, but as politicians, they'll just think of what they can benefit to gain their money.
Politicians will always have their own agenda. Some of them will think like a cane farmer and say to increase their pay, while some will say not to. But only a cane farmer and a cane cutter will be happy if their pay is increased.
At the moment, yes. I think they are because of elections around the corner, and they are paying more attention to the farmers now, and I think that's the big drive towards it.
No, the politicians, they're doing their part, and our government doing their part too. I mean, the people, they're saying, politicians, they're taking the advantage, but it's wrong. See, now the sugarcane growers, they got money now, cash money on their hand, and see, the government is doing well.
Now, recapping the main stories, church group gives evidence against rape accused. NFP and FLP defend themselves against allegations. And unqualified employees were hired, says ministry. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question. This week, we are asking, should Fiji have a team in the Super Rugby competition? Visit our FBC website to answer. Before we go, today's shot of the day comes from the Coral Coast. Taken by Amasa Kunumbuli at Korotongo Beach in Singatoka on Monday, showing a kid enjoying the sunset. Do send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj. That's fbcnews@fbc.com.fj. Or share it with us via our Facebook page, FBC News. Or you can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. And that was your FBC News for tonight from the team and I. Good night.
हमारा नाम संत कुमार है। हम रेडियो फीजी 2 सुनता है और ताबुआ में सबसे बेहाल रेडियो फीजी 2 है यार।
हम बिना विमलेश रकाविंदी ताबुआ से रेडियो फीजी 2 हमारा सबसे फेवरेट स्टेशन है।
हमारा नाम ब्रूस राव है, रेकी मार्केट वेंडर और रेडियो फीजी 2 देश के धड़कन 1954 से हम सुनता है।
हम कबूली ताबुआ रहता है। हमारा नाम है रमेश चंद और हमारी मछली के धंधा है और हम सब टाइम रेडियो फीजी 2 सुनता है।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।